Hi, I'm Ron from Kissmet, and you are watching DESIblitz.com.
DESIblitz.com.
Ron, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about Bhangra Symphonica. Before we get into it, I just want to talk more and learn more about your background and upbringing within music. Could you tell us a bit more about your earliest memories of music and how it's impacted you today?
Well, I'd say that I come from a family of music listeners. You know, my mum and dad weren't really singers around the house, but my aunties would be singing around the house all the time. You know, subconsciously, I'd be exposed to all this different type of music. You know, they'd be singing Hindi songs, they'd be singing Bhangra songs, they'd be singing ghazals, qawwalis, anything that they could sing. But my mum and dad were really listeners of music. My dad ran the local Indian cinema. So as kids, we grew up watching classic Bollywood films. So things like Hiranjam, Madhumati, Mother India. These are great films to watch. But as kids, we didn't really watch the films, but I'd always be exposed to the music. So subconsciously, again, I was taking in all these Hindi references, and plus the area that I lived in. So Peterborough is quite a multicultural city, but in the 70s and 80s, we were really restricted to just a couple of streets. It wasn't really safe to go outside of those streets. So all the ethnic minorities were in those couple of streets. So, for example, across the road from me, I had the Pentecostal church. So on a Sunday morning, I'd be listening to gospel music. As you'd walk past the church, you'd hear the gospel choir singing every Sunday morning. Next door to that would be the mosque. So Friday afternoon prayers, you'd hear the prayers being called out of the speakers. And then if you walked a little bit further down the road, Marcus Garvey Centre would be there, so you'd be listening to reggae. And you go a bit further down there, then the Gurdwara is there, and then you'd be listening to Shabbats there. And then a bit further down the road again, there would be the synagogue, there'd be the Hindu temple, there'd be all sorts of music that we'd be exposed to. And as kids, you're just walking to school, or you're just walking around the area playing football, but hearing all these different types of music, and they're all coming in. And at that stage, I wasn't a musician. I was just a kid playing football, really. But later on, when I became a musician, I found I could hear all these different elements together, and I wouldn't be able to differentiate between them. It would be in Hindi, it'd be in English, it'd be reggae, it would be ska, it'd be punk. To me, I'd just hear music, and that really helped me in this musical journey that I've been on for the past few years. So it's been fascinating that I've not had any formal musical training, but my ears have been open, my mind has been open, and that's most important. You know, when you're working as a musician, if you say, right, okay, I'm going to be this type of musician, this is the music that I like, and this is what speaks to me, then you will become very proficient at that. But I think what's been so enlightening for myself and my brother as well, because when I was playing football, he was right next to me as well, is just this exposure to so many different cultures, so many different languages, so many different instruments, so many different scales, so many different songs, you know, like, so my dad would be listening to Hindi music at home, but my mum was a great big Elvis fan. So at the same time as listening to Muhammad Rafi, I'd be sitting listening to Elvis as well. So we were really fortunate that they were avid listeners, and I had my aunties singing around the house as well. Just taking all these influences in, when we became musicians, we thought, well, you know, like I can play Indian songs, but I can sing in English, or I can play English songs and I can sing in Punjabi over them. So it was a real musical smorgasbord of everything. Just put that in. If it sounds good, if the beat is good, if it makes sense to me musically, then that was the most important thing with me.
And you kind of touched on it there that you didn't have exactly kind of formal training when you were younger. So how does one find this ability to do the things that you do today?
I'm not really sure. I think it's just a natural ability that some people have. Like some people can draw. I can't draw. My brother's a great artist, and I try and copy what he draws. And I can't do it. He'll draw a horse, and I'll draw something, and it doesn't look like that. But we just found that we could sing. As children, we were in the local choir, and our school was the most multiculturally diverse school in the whole of the city. And yet when we came to perform in the choir, so if you have a look at all the other schools in Peterborough, they're predominantly English, but our school was full of Afro-Caribbeans, full of Indians, Italians, Chinese, everything like that. And we won the local choir competition, and I think we were singing a song in Latin. So it was just something that we picked up on, and we developed as we grew older. I think it really helped having my aunties there, because there's one thing about listening to something on the radio or listening to it on a record, but when you've got someone who's standing right next to you and they sing so beautifully, that now when I hear them, the hairs on the back of my neck stands up, and I think, wow, you've had no training. You just listen to the records and you just start singing exactly like they sing on the records. I've got one auntie sings just like Lata. Lata Mangeshkar, she can sing that. My other auntie sings Irish songs. So as kids, we would listen to both of them, and then we ended up singing Hindi and we ended up singing Irish. So I think we were really lucky in the environment that we grew. Times were tough in the 70s and 80s. Multicultural Britain didn't really exist. There were areas that you could stay in, and there were areas, even in Peterborough, that you couldn't go to. It was just too risky. So even when we were at school, we had a very, very diverse junior school. And then when I went to the senior school, there were 2 Indian kids in a school of 1,000 pupils. So you can't take your Bhangra music to that environment. They just weren't prepared to listen to that. So what you have to do, you have to adapt. And I ended up listening to all my English friends' music. So that would be anything from Genesis to the Stranglers to the Police to Madness. It was everything. So at home listening to a lot of Indian music, and within the environment that I grew up in, lots of different world music, and then at school listening to prog rock, reggae, ska, and classical music as well. So when I think back at it and I look at all the different influences that I was being exposed to, it's no wonder that I can play so many different types of music and sing in different languages as well.
Everybody, Jaya Jaya, Gopal Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari, Govind Jaya Jaya, Govind Jaya Jaya, Gopal Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari, Govind Jaya Jaya.
Kind of nicely brings us on to the Bhangra Sinfonica itself, which I guess hearing that name, it's completely unique, it's completely different than what is out there right now in terms of genres of music. Could you tell us a bit more about how this idea for Bhangra Sinfonica came about, and why you felt it was so important to bring this to life?
So the orchestra, the Swan, is one of the UK's leading chamber orchestras, and one of the directors of the orchestra actually came from Peterborough. He's an Indian chap, and he knew of us, and he said to the director of the orchestra, you want to get in touch with these guys because they do something that's different. If you think about the Bhangra music that we play, we don't really play standard Bhangra music. Like a lot of people who are into Bhangra, they like their Bhangra undiluted. They want to hear the tumbi, they want to hear the dol, they want to hear the classic lyrics and everything like that. But when we started playing Bhangra, my brother and I were musicians in a Bhangra band called Sabras. When that band finished, then we started doing our own project, and we just found that we could take Bhangra grooves and songs and play them over a rock beat. And now we've got our friends in, play big guitars, big bass, big drums. It's incredibly powerful. When you get two really loud and really powerful musical forces like Bhangra and rock, and you put them together, they can create something very, 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 very unique. And what happened is that you got Bhangra fused with music of black origin, but we were fusing Bhangra with music of white origin, rock music. So we knew that was different. And but good music is good music. If it makes you move, if it stirs something inside you, then you've got to just say, it doesn't matter where the music has come from. It doesn't even matter what instruments you use or what language you sing in. If it's good and if people want to listen to it, then that's fantastic. So we were doing our own thing in Peterborough. We've been all over the world playing that to world music festivals all over the place. And the director of the orchestra came to us and said, look, we hear that you're doing something different. Shall we just have a jam session? So we met up. David LePage, he's the director of the orchestra. He's just absolutely wonderful musician. And I knew he was going to be good, but I didn't know he was going to be that good. I was quite intimidated, sitting opposite him. He's got his violin out. I've got my vajra there. And we didn't know what to do. We just said, I said, okay, Dave, I'm gonna play this track. It's in this scale. Just follow me on this, and we'll see what happens. 5 minutes later, we had played this ridiculous track. It was different to how I'd normally play it. I was going with him, he was coming with me. We were pushing and pulling. It was we were changing it as we were going along, and there was a lot of eye movement. Like, okay, I'm going to go speed up, stop, and then pull it back and try something different. Wow, 5 minutes later, we couldn't talk. We just looked at each other and thought, that's amazing. And luckily, I'd recorded it on my phone. And one of the great things to do is if you fall upon something unique and you've got a recording of it, then you can develop that further. So what we've done is that track that we used to jam together, we've actually introduced that into our set exactly the same way that we jammed it. We just struck upon something, and we were very, very lucky that we played it well. There were no mistakes, it just fell into place. So we said, right, okay, let's just copy that. Just don't change it, just copy that. And it was magical. That's the only word I can use for it, even as a musician myself. And Dave as well, he's an incredible musician. He even said he'd never heard anything like that. And we both like changing things as we go along, so we don't stick to certain structures. Like the tempo can change, the time signal can change, the language can change, and the style can change in between that. When you've got that much flexibility, it's incredible what you can achieve. And we were just lucky that our first track shined the light for the direction that we wanted to go into.
And in that first jam session that you did have, it was obviously, like you said, kind of spontaneous and more relaxed in a sense. Was there anything off that first session that you had which opened your eyes in terms of, you've had kind of this long career within music and then you had this first jam session. Did anything surprise you or stand out to you in terms of, oh my God, I didn't realize this before?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it was amazing how similar a vajra, a harmonium, can sound with a violin. I'd seen violin players and I'd heard them from a distance, but actually when you're standing next to a violinist and you hear the tone of the violin and you hear the tone of the vajra, they're so similar. They're like long lost cousins. So, and they're very similar in terms of volume as well. They just worked so well together, and that was a real surprise. Dave's ability to improvise was incredible. I mean, he is a master musician. I'm so honoured to be able to share a stage with him, because that's his job. You know, he's not only a great performer, he's just an incredible musician. I think he went to the Yehudi Menuhin School of Music when he was about 10 or something. You know, it's just incredible to. Yeah, I'm standing right next to him. I'm watching him play, and I cannot fathom the sound that comes out of his violin. It's just incredible. I'm so lucky to be able to be in that environment where I'm standing next to such a great musician. And not only that, he's so open to ideas as well. That's one thing that we've both had to be open for change and adapt our sound, adapt our thinking. And when you can do that, you know, what we always try and say is that, you know, I don't look at Dave as an English person. I look at him as a great musician. He doesn't look at me as an Indian man. He looks at me as a musician as well. And what we're trying to do with our music, we're trying to say, if we can do this with music, if we can take the best bits of that and we can take the best bits of that, put them together, you know, positive, and a positive always makes a positive. And if we can do that with music, then what's really important to us is what can we do with people? You know, if you look at people as people, you don't see their colour, you don't see their gender, you don't see their age or anything like that. You just see the person. If you can concentrate on who that person is and find the positive in them and bring your positive elements out as well, then what can we achieve together? And that's the whole thing with, you know, when you look at Bhangra, you look at rock, you look at classical, you think maybe they won't work together, but actually you take the good bits out of each element and you put them together, you can create something completely new. And it's so powerful. It's got such a positive message, and that's our whole idea, is that we want to find people like our music. We want to find open-minded people. We want to find people with open ears, open eyes, open hearts, open arms. And if those people come to our gig, you know, they're looking for something fresh and new as well. They will leave with. They will leave in a changed environment. They will change as people. That's what we've become as musicians. We have changed as musicians, and we want the people to come, and we want to make that change happen in them as well.
Like you said, with Bhangra Sinfonica, the three main elements being classical, Bhangra and rock, is that the show wants to celebrate the uniqueness of each one, but also blend each one into each other as well, and celebrate the different characteristics that each one has. And I guess, are you trying to actually challenge people's thoughts on the actual genre itself as well, because I think stereotypically people would say Bhangra is upbeat, it's bouncy, it's vibrant. Classical is slower, more poetic. Rock is very raw, but colourful and energetic as well. But are you trying to challenge that and say, well, actually, no, Bhangra can be poetic and slow, classical can be bouncy and upbeat, etc. Do you think the show's trying to get that across, or?
Yeah, I think that's really important to us, is that we do blur the lines, because Bhangra isn't only just loud and jumpy and rock can be poetic, and also there's a lot of energy and a lot of power in classical music as well. When you hear these classical musicians going hell for leather, you got to look at them and you think, man, I can't even play like that, you know. So there's a track, and Buzz is playing. My brother's Buzzy plays a doll drum, so he's playing, and then you hear the violins spark up, and you think, well, that's as powerful as the doll drum. And similarly as well, you know, we can use elements of Bhangra because it is such a wonderful musical genre that and it's diverse. You know, it doesn't just have to be jumpy and beat driven. It can also, you can sit and listen to the melodies and they can take you away somewhere else. There's a track that we do, you know, everyone knows Dunya Kera Kavali, you know, that's just an incredible track. But you fuse it the way that we've fused it. So we've taken Muhammad Rafi's track, we sing that, we tell the story beforehand, we paint the picture. So people who don't understand what the lyrical content is, they know the vibe of the song. And then you introduce that with a rock element, and then you introduce the strings into there as well. It becomes epic. You know, it's a 7-minute song that goes by in, you know, it feels like the blink of an eye, really. It's beautiful to listen to. My brother sings it so well. And we're so lucky that we can delve into these different genres, but in order for us to do that, we've got to be open-minded, and you've got to come to it with the right attitude. If you say, no, this is a Hindi track, it's supposed to be like that, it won't work. You've got to say, no, let's pull in a bit of the strings, let's pull in a bit of the rock guitar, let's pull in a bit of the tabla in there, and, you know, we can create something completely new and fresh. And that's the thing about music, you know, like, your ultimate goal has got to be, does it sound good? And if it sounds good, it doesn't matter how you get there, it doesn't matter what instruments you use, it doesn't matter what style it is, you know, you just make your own style. I've seen someone pick up a tray and play dolki on a tray, and it's you just look at them, you think, I don't know how you're doing that, but it sounds brilliant. So you play that, and I'll join in with you. So it's incredible what you can achieve with music.
You ready? Here we go! Jump, 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 It's getting late on, but that's 'cause they're tired eyes. I simply with you, my love, to give you my dumb surprise. Be with you, darling, soon. Be with you when my sleep It's a chorus. Well, I've been waiting so long to be where I'm going in the sunshine of your love.
Is it possible you can give us a few lines from that song, by any chance?
Well, okay, right. I'll give you an example, right? So, as a kid in the 70s, I'd be watching Top of the Pops. The music at the start of Top of the Pops was Led Zeppelin's Whole Lot of Love, and it being. I'll be sitting listening and thinking, man, that sounds like a doll. And then, so now when I could sing, I thought, if that sounds like a doll, let's take that guitar riff and let's make a Bhangra track over it. And, so I'm thinking, okay, let's take that lyric and that lyric. So why don't I sing a little bit of Punjabi and a little bit of English? It doesn't matter what language is. If it sounds great, it sounds great. So, that was one of the things that I always used to listen to Led Zeppelin and think, well, that just sounds like air skunk, or that sounds like Gurdas Man, just a different instrument, but the beat is the same, the groove is the same. If you can capture that groove, you can play any instrument over that groove, create something new. So that's how we started. That's just a small example, like there's you've got to come to one of the gigs, because when you come to the gigs, if you're a Bhangra fan, you'll hear lots of Bhangra in there, but you will also hear all these other things. If you're a rock fan, come to the gig and you'll hear rock, but you will hear Bhangra and you'll hear classical. And if you're a classical fan, you'll hear all sorts of things as well. We really appeal. We try and fuse these things equally so that they create something new. You can't say that this is a Bhangra band that's a bit rocky. You can't say it's a rock band that's got a little bit of Bhangra in there. It really is a completely new and unique sound.
When you're coming up creatively with these songs for the show, were there any specific kind of challenges or difficulties with not just a specific song or just in general that you had when coming up with these things creatively? Was there any issues that you thought, how are we going to fix this, or how are we going to overcome this?
We've been really lucky in that the people that we're working with have been so open to ideas, and I think that really helps. You can't always do it. Sometimes the person who you're working with, there can be misunderstandings, there can be miscommunications, but luckily for us, working with David LePage, he's just so flexible, and he's so experienced in different types of music as well. So I can throw anything at him and he'll bring back something wonderful. Similarly, he can play something like there's one of the tracks that he played, and I asked him if he could play it, and it turned out it was a piece from Bach, written hundreds of years ago, and he played it. And I said, Dave, just keep playing that, and I'm going to try and sing something over the top of that. And I sang a Shabbat, and so now we've fused Bach with the Shabbat as well, and it just feels so natural. It feels so organic. It isn't contrived. It just happens. We're so lucky that a lot of the things that we've done, we've worked them out in the rehearsal once or twice, and then we've just copied them for the rest of the orchestra, and also our musicians as well. We've just said, look, this is the structure of the song. What can we bring to this? But let's try and keep this structure the same, because that was just what happened in our first rehearsal, and we're trying to retain that.
Kind of focusing on the Bhangra side a bit more. Obviously, with the show, fusing it with rock and classical is something unique and new. And Bhangra's had a long history within the UK. especially from the 70s and 80s, and how it's impacted and fused with the likes of kind of reggae and garage, grime and hip hop now. And like you said, as you were growing up, you were exposed to all these different genres and how everything can fuse together and work. And you saw the importance of other genres and what they can do in terms of music. Do you think other musicians that you've worked on, not just with this show, but in the past as well, they see the importance of Bhangra music on the UK?
Well, you hear Bhangra all over the place now. It's always on. There's little snippets in. People, they don't really know what to do with it because it's so defined, and that's what we're taking. We're lifting this Bhangra out, and we're saying, okay, look, this. If we can do this with it, what can you guys do with it? And that I think is such a incredibly powerful musical force that people can do all sorts of things with Bhangra. So long as you've got the beat there, so long as you've got that tempo, that if it makes you do that, it doesn't matter what you do with it. And we're hoping that this is just us. What are the next generation going to come along with? We are definitely opening doors into different directions. I'm pretty sure when people hear what we're doing, then we can inspire the next generation to come up and try something else as well. Eventually, again, it's like people are mixing, and societies are mixing. Music is mixing, food is mixing, culture is mixing, fashion is mixing, everything is mixing. When we go forward, I don't think there's going to be anything that is going to be taboo, like who would have ever thought that you can fuse classical music with Bhangra? A lot of people will listen to that and think, well, that doesn't make sense. But we'd say, come to the gig, listen, and hopefully they'll learn something. And like I say, people are changing, and this will definitely change people.
Just lastly, what's the biggest takeaway that you want audiences to have after coming to the show?
I think if they come with open ears and open minds and open arms and embrace what we're doing, then we will take them on an incredible journey. I mean, it's been an incredible journey for us. And we like to involve the audience in everything that we do. So it's not like we're the band, you're the audience, you listen to us and we'll play and you can go away. No, it isn't like that at all. We are the band, but the audience is part of the band as well. We like to bring them in, we like to sing to them and for them to sing back to us as well. And when we can create something together, each performance is completely unique. And we've been so blessed. I've got to say that we've been so blessed that everyone who comes, they go away smiling, they go away, there's a lot of red faces, a lot of sweating going on, because we'll take them on a fantastic journey, all the way from the UK to India, back to the UK again, via reggae, via rock, via all sorts of different things. So if they come with a appreciation for good music, that's all they need. Just come, listen, join in with us, jump with us, sing with us, dance with us, blah with us, hoi 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 with us. Whatever we do, if we're doing it on stage, we're going to ask people to do it as well. Bring your children, bring your grandparents. It's everyone. It's for everyone. There's something here that like that. I remember one time we did a gig and this chap, he came over to me and he said, he was about 60 years old, 65 years old, and he says, I love your music, but I tell you, my mum loved it. And I went, your mum? He said, yeah. And I said, I've got to meet this lady. And he led me through the audience into the middle of this field. And there was a lady, she was about 85 years old, she was in a wheelchair. and she was flashing, and she couldn't believe that I'd come over to say hello to her. And I shook her hand and I thanked her for coming. You know, so there's something here for everyone. You know, we've had grandparents bring their grandchildren, and they'll say, you know, listen to, and their little grandchild, 6 years old, will be saying Govinda Jaya Jaya, and we'll go, wow, like, you know, it's a beautiful message we've got. It's a beautiful message, and if people come along and are prepared to get involved with that, the journey that we will go on will be spectacular.
Ron, thank you so much for speaking to us. Hopefully, can't wait to see the show.
Yeah, come to the show. It'll be brilliant.
DESIblitz.com